searching for the gun that killed Ellie Edwards. Police are appealing for information about the weapon as two people remain in custody over the shooting of the 26-year-old in a Merseyside pub on Christmas Eve. Also tonight, more disruption on trains and planes today with the latest round of transport strikes. And a fond farewell to John Bird, satirical scourge of the rich and powerful.
This is ITV News with Mary Nightingale.
Good evening. Police are still searching for the gun used in the fatal shooting of a woman on Merseyside. Ellie Edwards was shot dead on Christmas Eve in a pub in Wallasey. Officers have described her killers as cowards. Rachel Townsend reports.
For a third day, Ellie's family returned to the place where she was fatally shot. Today, her father and brother embraced after reading messages left in memory of the 26-year-old beautician. In a press conference held by Merseyside Police outside the Lighthouse Inn in Wallasey, their Deputy Chief Constable revealed the gun used to kill Ellie and injure 4 others has not yet been recovered.
We will not rest until we bring the offenders to justice. And by that I mean the person who pulled the trigger of the gun in the most indiscriminate way on Christmas Eve. Anybody who was responsible for arranging, facilitating or harbouring this individual, and anybody who continues to withhold information on who has done this or indeed where the weapon is.
Reverend Jeff Hughes preaches just a stone's throw from the Lighthouse Inn and senses the mood in the community here is now changing.
Do you think now that initial shock is turning into perhaps anger?
Yeah, I think so. One response to anger is revenge. You want to see justice done, and obviously we do want to see that. And that's the sort of revenge I think we need to be focusing on. But I think the best use of the anger is to change.
Detectives still have a man and a woman in custody and have applied for more time to question them. But they want more people to come forward. They say any bystanders in Ellie's murder also have blood on their hands. Rachel Townsend, ITV News, Wallasey.
Passengers travelling through the UK's airports and train stations face disruption today in the latest strike action. Rail workers from the TSA union as well as border staff walked out in ongoing rows over pay and conditions. With the latest, here's Sejal Karia.
They were on the front line of a picket rather than patrolling the border today, as 1,000 Border Force staff at Britain's largest airports began a second wave of strikes, calling for a 10% pay rise to weather the cost of living crisis.
2%, quite frankly, is an insult, and all our members feel the same. None of us want to be picketing, none of us want to go on strike. We just want to be recognised for what we do.
There was limited disruption, we're told, as a result, because military personnel and civil servants were checking passports instead. But it's not just airports. More misery lies ahead for rail passengers in the new year too, as RMT members go on strike for 4 days, and train drivers with the ASLEV union stage a 24-hour walkout on the 5th of January. While rail workers at Great Western and West Midlands trains go on strike today and tomorrow, with more planned next month, and driving instructors continue a rolling walkout.
A bit annoying, really. Everything seems to be up the chute at the moment, doesn't it?
I think all the strikes are inconvenient, but they're meant to be, aren't they? That's the point. And I think if people aren't being paid properly, then I understand why they strike.
Downing Street is once again urging unions to call off strike action. Those representing workers say the government need to put more money on the table. There's no sign yet of a resolution. Sejal Karia, ITV News.
Pope Francis has asked for prayers for his predecessor, Pope Benedict, saying he is very sick. Pope Francis made the announcement at the end of his general audience this morning. Pope Benedict, who's now 95, stepped down in 2013, the first papal resignation in 600 years. This morning, 2 men were arrested after a man was stabbed in a club on Boxing Day. Cody Fisher died after being attacked in the Crane nightclub in Birmingham. And Danny Sinha is there for us now. Danny, what's the latest?
Well, police have made 2 arrests, one man aged 21, the other aged 22. And of course, Cody Fisher himself, the victim, aged just 23. A non-league football player who was enjoying a night out with his friends on Boxing Day at the Crane nightclub behind me when he was fatally stabbed on the dance floor in front of hundreds of people, effectively, because this was one of the busiest nights of the year. And according to revellers, there was said to be a moody atmosphere inside the club with groups of lads looking like they wanted to cause trouble. And sadly, of course, it was at the end of the night when Cody himself lost his life. Naturally, his family say they are heartbroken at his death. There's been another tribute from his football club, Bromsgrove Sporting, saying he was a friend to many at the club and he will be missed. Police are still appealing for witnesses tonight, but this tragedy, a dreadful reminder how knife crime is still costing too many lives.
Danny Sinha in Birmingham, thank you. The extreme weather in the UK has experienced over the last year will become the new norm, the National Trust has warned. The Conversation charity said 2022 has been challenging for nature, with a hot summer and low rainfall, followed by floods, wildfires and recently, of course, freezing conditions. It warned this year has been a stark illustration of the sort of difficulties that species will face if we don't do more to stop rising temperatures. And finally, the much admired actor and comedian John Bird has died at the age of 86. He was best known for his performances in the TV series Bremner, Bird and Fortune, mercilessly sending up the rich and powerful with his cutting wit and humour. Today, Rory Bremner called him one of the greatest satirists. Martha Fairley looks back at his long career.
You are an admiral.
I am an admiral. And I wear an admiral's hat.
John Bird had a talent for portraying those in the upper echelons of the establishment.
At the moment, we can afford to either have the carriers or the aircraft, but not both.
And exposing their shortcomings.
The record of computerisation in government departments has not been exactly unblemished, has it?
Patchy?
Rather more than patchy. There's the fiasco of the passport office.
Incompetent politicians, bureaucrats and businessmen were all fair game in the satirical skits he performed with his comedy partner, John Fortune.
Please don't go on.
They regularly worked with comedian Rory Bremner, who today paid tribute, saying it's an irony that one of our greatest satirists, so brilliant at portraying ministers, civil servants or high-ranking officials who exuded self-satisfaction, was himself so modest and self-effacing. John Bird had been writing and performing satire since he was at Cambridge University, where he met John Fortune. The pair won a BAFTA for their Long John sketches in 1997. John Bird also made appearances in other shows, including Yes, Prime Minister, Morse and the Legal Comedy Chambers. But he'll be best remembered as one of the 2 Johns who ridiculed those in power.
And then I would say to you what people like me always say, that it's not us that will suffer, it's your pension fund.
With his effortless satire.
Remembering John Bird, whose death was announced today. And that's all for now. We'll be back with the latest at 10 from all of us here. Bye-bye.